Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Cardano's ADA, taking a look at the price action, what's been going on most recently, what we think is likely to happen next and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? Let's jump right down into this one though, right? So we've got a few things to kind of discuss here and talk about. Let's actually just go ahead and just move some of these around. So I always like to kind of start on this this screen at the moment. I'm going to probably expand this out to a few other cryptocurrencies that we talk about as well, just so that we can kind of be really clear on what is going on inside all the content that we do. There's a lot of content, so it's important that we kind of keep track of it, monitor it, and hold ourselves accountable for the things that we say on the YouTube channel, right? And in the Discord server and all the kind of usual stuff. So following on from the previous video, we saw that there was going to be a move to the downside, highly likely anyway. At the point of recording this video, we have moved down since then 6.8%. So if you're using leverage, that's pretty meaty. And if you're looking at just kind of spot trading where you've been able to kind of buy a dip and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another line to this and we're going to put it right in here. I've actually got this on a lower scale. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I do actually prefer to have this on the I would have thought it was on here. Yeah, the low visibility. I much prefer the low visibility side of things because it kind of stands out a little bit too much with the white lines. But anyway, I kind of digress. We're going to put a little arrow here and we're going to talk about what's going on with the price action, and we'll add the thumbnail whenever I decide to actually make it. So that'll be after this video and after it's gone live. So the next one, you'll see that on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off by talking about the Gateway theory side of things. Let me clear out some of this noise. We don't need that on there. And we can still see that we are slightly bullish here. We have met our minimum expectations, we have moved down, but I think we can start to reflect on maybe coming up here a little ways further, right? We were and still are technically targeting out the 42.79 to 44.3. 44 cent has to hold for a bigger macro move, which we'll talk about that in a moment later in the video, so do watch out for that one. But for the most part, it looks like on this micro scale, we still have this ability to move upwards. We have this kind of choppy move to the downside. We have pretty much an impulsive run up, correcting down, looking for the next move upwards, in my opinion. So if we kind of focus in here just on the most recent move, then we'll be targeting out this slightly lower range, but it would meet our minimum expectation. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually tidy this out just a little bit, right? Let's remove some of the noise and then just focus in here, right? So we have this kind of C-wave structure. Inside this C-wave structure right here, I am actually thinking that we are in some kind of three-wave correction to the upside, and if we do this, we can see that we would kind of push up into this higher range. It might fall short just of this macro at 42 to 44 cent because it does look more like 41 to 42 at the moment. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Okay, so I'm going to just move that across here, and we're going to keep that one to one side. That's kind of where our C-wave structure at the moment is kind of aiming. I'm going to actually just put a little yellow box on there just to make it stand out a little bit here on the video. Okay, so we're talking 41.07 to 42.07. Okay, that's going to be the area there. In fact, I will just delete that out. Now, if we take a look at the structure that's happening here right now, okay, and we kind of think about this move to the upside, okay, this is also going to kind of be somewhere in the middle here. And it's going to basically be a little bit of overlap, right? With 41.66 to 42.54. Okay, and then if I go ahead and remove that, we can again see that there is this high probability that price is going to come right into this little section right here where we see these overlaps, right? And we can see that all of this area here seems to be targeted out. Okay, and if I zoom out even further, you can kind of see that we have this three-wave structure from down here on the 10th of March, pushing up higher as well. And if I go ahead and grab hold of this, move this over to our low down here, then you can kind of see that we were targeting out right in that upper range as well, and it could be a little bit higher. So again, we can see that everything is kind of overlapping right inside this upper area, which happens to be a previous area of supply. So highly likely that there is a slight push up higher here on the smaller time frames. But once all these kind of moves are complete, we have to kind of think about a correction to the downside, but a little bit off for that one. I think we're a little bit further off, further down the timeline. I think for the moment we've got to move upwards. So the next move, in my opinion, should be some kind of move to the upside. But we need to talk about where those key levels are going to be, because if we get too carried away just thinking everything's going to go up, we need to obviously anchor ourselves in with an understanding as to where things crumble down, right? So straight off the bat here, this three-wave structure that I've just done and drawn up on the smaller time frame would basically break if we were to go down lower than 37.08, right? So if the price doesn't just come down and crosses here, that only leaves us with one possibility, or two possibilities. It would be a flat correction, either an irregular flat like this, or you would end up with a running flat, which would be like this, okay? Those are the only two options that you have there to think about that as a three-wave structure. If it fails, then of course, that's kind of the options that you have, or we're moving down and actually we're just, doing some kind of bearish movement to the downside. Okay, got to bear those things in mind. Now, looking at it, all of these are still technically possible because we haven't broken this local high or this local low. Okay, so basically at the moment between 37.08 and 40.93. So both of these scenarios are possible until one of those lines gets broken and it invalidates the other. What I mean by that is we can see here that we have a bearish situation that could be taking us down significantly deeper here, like this, and we also have that bullish one that I was just talking about taking us up into the higher ranges. Now I think the push upwards is highly likely, more probable than the move to the downside, and that's because when we start taking a look at the stochastics, it does look like we are about to kind of reach into the oversold area, and we're going to be thinking about that move to the upside. So that's kind of where I sit with an Elliott wave theory side of things. I think we have to be moving up. We have these areas of targets up here, and I don't really expect us to push up higher than 44 cent, but anything is possible in the world, crazy world of crypto that it is. But for the most part, I think we've got probably a day or so, maybe two, moving upwards before we actually start to see those corrections down. So I think the next move is up, but let's go ahead and jump into smart money concepts on the hourly chart as well, see what what's going on here, whether we can be bullish or not. And yeah, we obviously have our change of character that is bullish, so that's okay. We can see that we have a weak high, indicating that we are likely to break that local high. And we basically have found a bit of support down here on the equilibrium previously, coming back down, back testing on the fair value gap. The fair value gap obviously is an imbalance in the order books, and we naturally come back down. We did leave one behind, so I'd expect us to go back up after that as well. We have a strong low at the moment. So everything from the smart money concepts there is stacking up quite well. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So we can see that there's a nice move to the upside here. If I just take this down to a 15-minute chart, you can actually see a bit of a structured move to the upside here. So as I said earlier, it looks really impulsive. And to me, it looks like we're doing something quite neat and tidy like this at the moment. Okay, it'd be interesting to kind of see how that plays out, and whether or not that's going to be in a more accurate count or not. But as I look at it, that's kind of what it looks like to me. Now, if I take this down to a 5-minute chart, you can see it a little bit more clearly here, and just how they had that consolidation there and that consolidation in there, and we had this run upwards. Okay, so that would be a pretty interesting kind of structure. Now, we do have a little bit of concern when we talk about this move to the downside here. We can see also very similar kind of structures, but it doesn't give us that kind of level of impulsion that we were kind of thinking about previously. We can see here we have some 3-wave counts going on right inside here. For example, there's a 3-wave count right there, and up here we can see that all of that would get wrapped up inside a 3-wave count to here. Okay, we don't have any of those 5-wave counts going on, and then we can see here that we do end up with this landslide just taking us down deeper, and for the most part, we could argue that this is a 335 correction, because we can see there's also 3 waves just going up here as well on this 5-minute chart, and we will have to kind of think about this being a much deeper kind of retracement. But I'd look at it and I'd say probably 1, 2, and for the argument's sake, I'm going to put it like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. It can be in many different actual ways of actually articulating that one, because it does look like there might be an extension towards the end. But nonetheless, we kind of digress here. My point is that this is all very corrective to the downside, but looking very impulsive to the upside, and we can kind of see that from the smaller time frames. Now, if I come back to our hourly, now we have a bit of an understanding on this, it does allow us to kind of think about that move to the upside here. So as we can see, we kind of have lost the 50 EMA, but we're looking to find support on the 200 EMA. I still think we have to come down a fraction, just a fraction more, complete this fair value gap down here. So on that low side, we are, of course, talking about this candle wick right here. So basically 37.87. If we can just hit that, come down, bounce from the 200 EMA, then we can progress upwards and talk about that move up there. Okay, so I don't expect us to kind of just go straight up from here. It's possible that we do, but I wouldn't expect it. I would be expecting to kind of fill that gap out and hit support levels on the 200 EMA on the hourly. But it can, of course, just go up. It doesn't have to go down right now, because I do expect there to be a macro move to the downside that gets these fair value gaps anyway. So keep a close eye on it. Ultimately, I think we are looking at smart money concepts and Elliott wave theory indicating a move to the upside over the next couple of days. Be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Momentum-wise on the stochastics, all looking pretty good, with the exception of the 4-hour. I think the 4-hour could come down a bit, but nonetheless, it still has plenty of room to grow upwards as well. So I'm not terribly too concerned with that. I do think that move has to be to the upside. Now, from our daily chart, we can, of course, see that things are looking pretty good, but I am looking at this as a corrective structure nonetheless. And we can see here that we are looking to see this pull back down. Now, the concerns that we have are that we go higher than 44 cent, okay, and that's that high up here, okay, that's the top one. We also have this high at 42.13, could be a double top situation. Look at this, and I do think to myself that we're in this kind of bearish state of play where we come down here, and 23.92 is a low at the moment. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hold. It really does depend on whether this is going to be our X wave movement, and then we're going to have a Z wave come down deeper. We have a lot of double zigzag patterns going on in ADA as well when you start to really break down this micro movements. JB down in our Discord server does a fantastic job of charting what's going on with ADA. So does Festoon as well. So you get a good idea as to kind of what's going on when there's smaller time frames from the Discord server and the Patreon and YouTube membership side of things. But for the most part, my expectations are that we have to come down. I don't really want to see a new lower low for Cardano, but I would suspect that there probably will be a requirement to be retesting the lows around 23. Whether they get lost or not, I don't know at this point. It was deeper down here than I first anticipated, because I was actually looking to find support around the kind of 28-27 cent range. We did actually come down quite deep here, much deeper, and then much closer to my macro lows of around 22.23. And we've actually moved up from this area. So yeah, I'm not saying that we have to go down deeper, but yeah, we'll have to see how those structures form, because I am concerned that we do move down in a deep way here and we kind of finish off those structures, and we could be talking sub 20 cent at some point. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out though, overall. But on the smaller time frames, we can be positive. On the macro time frames, probably not so much. The weekly also gives us that kind of level of concern where you can see down here we are looking at those additional lows before we can kind of rally on up. I do expect Cardano to do incredibly well in the future, but for now I think we have to be realistic. We have to kind of see things kind of play out a little bit more on the smaller time frames. So I'm going to leave this video right there, guys. If you did find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out. Linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day. We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.